Yes. And I guess there's a privacy section that was put on here so that you can understand your rights when it comes to talking about situations, because there's some situations that probably everybody shouldn't overhear. If you want to talk to the board and in say like going inside to talk, that you don't have to air your business out in public and stuff. So so everyone should be aware of that. Yeah, I think we have quite a few items on here. Okay, and then there's also telling you the purpose of the homeowners meetings. There's about 7 items under there. I'm sorry, because I'm just seeing this, so I'm kind of going over it now. And we want everyone to know that we're going through some changes. We're trying to get everything in order, in line with the state government laws. So just be patient with us while we try to get all of this accomplished and everybody can get on the same page. Okay, it says approval of the previous meeting's minutes. I don't know if anyone...
Our secretary is not here from the previous meeting, so we're going to have to put that off to the next meeting then.
Okay, so do we... okay, so she's not here, then we don't have any minutes for this meeting.
We'll take meetings. We'll take our notes. We'll take notes and we can put them to... We can put them to... Yeah.
Combine?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. So the next item is the open forum discussion, of topics from the floor. Okay, so I guess now we have anyone.
We have actually have 6 people that signed up, and we are allowing 30 minutes on the meetings at this time. The fewer things we have, the more time we can allot, and we'll just kind of have to play it by ear to begin with. But for this meeting, we actually have 6 people who've signed up who would like to speak. So you're each allotted 5 minutes of the 6 speakers. So the first speaker is Elaine Minton.
Want somebody to set a timer?
You can if you'd like. Do you need 5 minutes?
Hopefully not that long.
Okay. Robert, did you have something you wanted to add real quick?
Can you use the microphone that we have over
That
there?
red thing.
Okay.
The bullhorn.
This is bull. Well, actually, we're pretty sure that we have a speaker around somewhere. We'll actually get the speaker on and do.
Should be on.
Hello? Hello? Okay. Hopefully we don't have to do. So Elaine Minton. So would you just like to stand up and address everybody? Will that? Can everybody hear? What? How?
They use the bullhorn.
No, not really.
Okay.
Come on, stand up and be loud, okay?
No, my question is, I went and asked for an approval for a new roof. Because of the rain last week, some of the ceiling in one of my rental properties came in. So it's like an emergency replacement. I've got numerous properties in this area. The roofs are all the same. They've been passed. I was charged $25 today for an approval. When did that start? Well, that started in November is what I was told. Well, were any notices mailed out? No, it's on the website. I don't do websites. A lot of people probably don't even have computers to do websites. I went back and checked the website, and it states a processing fee of $25 will be charged if an ACC request for improvements is approved and the work is never started or not completed. So why was I charged $25 prior to me even getting an approval and even starting the job. I can understand being charged the $25 if I didn't come through with what I'm telling you I'm going to do. That's understandable. And then on top of that, I was told only cash. You can't do that. If you will only accept cash, it's going to have to be posted, cash only. On the receipt, it says cash, check, money order, credit card. So my first question is, why was I charged $25 when I had another roof put on in December and I had another roof put on in November, because I have several properties? Not charged, not said anything, but today I was. And when I read what was on the website, I should not have been charged unless I failed to do what the proposal said I was going to do.
So previously, historically, let's just back up to the fall. In the fall, there was actually fees that were approved but not approved properly. Per state law,
Okay.
the fees, which for them to be approved, must be discussed openly and in public.
Exactly.
They were not.
Understood.
They were not discussed in an open board meeting. So we actually have a manager right now who is also a board member who has instructed the staff to charge those fees contrary to what the law states. As board members, our hands are tied, but this is probably going to resolve itself before too long. What I can assure you is this: you will get a refund for the money for any ACCs which have been charged improperly.
Well, just as one today.
Okay.
Just as one to that.
You're not the only one though.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well,
Okay. So you're not the only person.
okay.
So my reason for being here is because I saw a lot of things that were done improperly, that were done outside of what the state law requires us to do. And this is where my motivation came from to become a part of this organization. And this is one of the things that is highest on my list. And the only thing I can do for you right now is just assure you that you will get your money back.
Not a problem. My
It's-
issue's been resolved.
It still is an issue for a matter of process that still has to be done. It has not helped us in the community that this action was taken. So, one of the things this board must do is we have to rehabilitate our reputation.
Yeah.
And it starts by doing things the right way. To do so, we ask you for your patience and a little bit of time.
Not a problem.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did I understand you to say that there will be a refund to all persons that was charged the fee after November the 11th?
Yes, sir.
Is that in the minutes now?
It will be.
Just trying to say, be patient. You're working through issues. I can be patient.
Mr. Hampton.
Everybody can hear me, right? Yeah. 5 minutes?
You can have a little bit more because there's some people that haven't taken the whole 5 minutes.
Madam Chair, I move that the Sterling Green CIA establishes a Bylaws Committee of 9, the chairperson to be Mr. Robert Collins with 8 additional members. This committee's duties and objectives shall be to assure, adopt, amend, or remove past, present, and future bylaws of this association. The past and present bylaws affected are those that have not been certified by the courts of the state of Texas or the county of Harris, Texas. That's my first and only motion.
Okay, do I get a second?
Second.
Okay.
We have multiple seconds.
Yeah, every second's okay.
I have a question for Mr. Hampton. Do you already have members in mind? Does he already have members in mind on the for the approval? Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to say I have no problem in going forward with it. I would just ask that we work with our legal counsel to make sure that we don't spin our wheels on maybe trying to push something forward which may be contrary to state law or even federal law. So to that, I'm going to vote for the formation of the Bylaws Committee. Gloria, what's your vote?
I'm in agreement.
So raise your hand and say aye.
Aye.
Linda, do you have an aye?
Yeah, yes.
But the members
But
need to.
the members need
I
to
need
vote.
the members.
Aye, yes.
Okay.
Opposed? Anybody? Looks like it passed unanimously.
Okay, I have one other thing and then I'm gonna sit down. If you look at your agenda, number 5 speaks of election of officers of the association. Being the nominating committee chairman, we, the members, let me make this clear, so you don't have to go back to them when it comes up again. That's why I'm saying it now. We, the members, the homeowners, cannot, right now, at the present, tell them what positions they have to take. Our duty was to elect them as board of directors, which we did our part already. The bylaws state they have to, the 5 of them have to do their own voting on who's going to be president, vice president, secretary, treasurer. All right? So y'all just put an X through number 5. We can keep moving. Thank you.
However, it's not truly an X because we actually have to figure this out for ourselves. We have to do it in front of y'all. So earlier today, I understood that it was going to be at the suggestion of the people, and that's why it's written that way. But he is right, and we discussed it earlier. It really is a function of the board where we select which one of us wants to sit in what seat and be responsible for which tasks.
Based on which amount of votes is gonna be the president, and the next one, how many votes are not reported to us? Because we even don't know who are the candidates.
Well, it can only, there's 4 officers' positions among 5 members of the board of directors. And this is where we stand. So it's a matter of us picking ourselves and notifying or discussing this openly in front of everybody to say, I'm going to be president. Does anybody want to vote for me? And if 2 people want to vote for somebody, they can vote for somebody. Or if I wanted to be treasurer or whatever it is. But it probably is best served if we approach it from, what are we good at?
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I'd like to nominate Gloria as treasurer since she is a business owner and manages books on a regular basis.
I agree with that.
I second that motion.
Okay, so I'm in favor of Gloria holding the role of treasurer of the organization.
You accept it?
I accept.
Linda, do you have a vote for or against? You still have to vote.
Oh, I mean, I was about to write her name in. Yeah.
Yes.
Can I,
Gloria is now the treasurer.
can I nominate you as president?
No, you may not. The second nomination I'd like to make, I'm sorry, Robert, did you want to say?
I wanted to speak on the motion, but go ahead, carry out your office of business, and then I want to speak.
The second motion I'd like to make is just keep secretary with the person it's at right now, and that's Wanda Paite. She's the blonde hair girl who's normally up here. I don't know why she's not here, but I think she's just not here tonight. She's been doing it, from what I understand, and it's a matter of recording the meetings and formalizing agenda and seeing to it that our records policy is adhered to with regards to the meeting minutes. And there are some things that'll need to be changed so that we follow a proper meetings protocol. But I think that with just a little bit of guidance, I think she'll be able to actually hold her role as secretary with just a little bit of templating, boilerplate, and maintaining the documents like we need to maintain them.
Second.
Okay. I'm raising my hand in for Wanda Paite. Okay.
I have a question, Tom.
Go ahead.
Are you taking any other nominations? I see you're doing the nominations from up there for the board, what I understood. Maybe I misunderstood, I might have drifted off for a second. But the decision was coming from the board, not from the association, right?
It is.
So there's no need to second what's going on up there. That's really the board's decision.
He's technically correct. He is technically correct, but it still is a matter of, it is still good to see the people give their approval.
And the reason that I asked that, because by doing that, you kind of open up the door for other nominations. Like if someone wanted to, because me personally, I think you would be a good secretary. That's just my opinion of it, because I know the work and documentation stuff that you do, and that's why I asked. So I didn't want to, step on any toes or anything.
The secretary's job and the vice president's job is probably the easiest of the two jobs.
I'm sorry, say that
The
again?
secretary and the vice president's job are probably the easiest of the two jobs. Without really being able to speak to Wanda, I think maybe I leave her where she is just as a matter of my vote. I don't have a motivation to change anything with that role, especially since it is one of the easier roles. Again, this board is deciding on who actually gets to fill the roles. I personally was preferential to being the 5th board of director without an actual title, and where I can work in the capacity of auditing and ensuring that our organization does things the proper way. And that may seem lazy, but in all honesty, I don't want to do this, to sit on this board for more than one term. That's 2 years. I want to get things turned around, and I want to do it to the best of my ability and get things as legal and functional as possible. But I found that probably I'm going to get nominated here in a moment for one of these top 2 roles, according to her.
Do you have a problem with that?
I do not. I did not see it being optimal, but it's for 1 year until the next board of directors is selected. So, the role of vice president and president are open.
I would like to nominate Tom Olson as president. Linda?
Do you need hands? Any hands?
It's a matter of the board vote. It's a matter of the board vote. But still, appreciative of
Our approval.
the approval, nonetheless.
Voting confidence.
And so who currently is the board? I've been here since, I've been here 7 years. I have no idea who the board is. I have no idea.
It's made up of 5 members of the community, and we're elected by the membership at large.
So, but right now, currently, who is the president?
There actually is not a president right now. This is per the bylaws, this meeting is actually the first meeting which is occurring after the actual election of the board of directors. So on the night of the election, we became board members. But it's actually this meeting which we determine who is going to be president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer.
But why you don't give us the quantity, how many votes got each of you all to be by this?
We'll discuss that here in a minute. It's actually an agenda item this evening.
Okay.
So Gloria has made a motion for me to become president. The 3 members that are here, I can vote for myself, but I would honestly like to see if Linda wants to vote for me as president. Linda, I really am offering you an olive branch, and I really want to work with you.
I wish I could say that I really thought that you were being honest and truthful. But some of the stuff that you've done, you have really got my daddy up. And it's going to take a while for that to come around.
Fair enough.
Let's move on.
Anything that prevents me from voting for myself? I vote for myself as president.
So is Linda voting for it or no?
She's not voting, she's abstaining.
Okay. So what is it?
The vote is 2 to 1, or 2 to nothing with 1 abstention.
So therefore, you have become the president.
I have become the president.
But as president, is it true that you don't vote on board member affairs and you break a tie?
No, it's not. That's not the case. I would like to nominate Linda Bass as the vice president. She's been here for a long time, and I really want to rely on some of her wisdom here. Her and I are not going to get along in the beginning, but I have a feeling that over time,
Now, it's not
things
that,
will change.
It's not that we're not going to get along. It's that I don't like the way that you approach things. You have to tone yourself down some, because you're like a bull in a china shop.
That's what we need right up front.
That's what you need.
Yes.
Not for everything.
We need somebody to take leadership.
Yeah, we
in
need
our
someone
place.
just
You
like
can't strong.
that.
I really couldn't hear you back here.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just told him that he was like a bull in a china shop.
And she's right. I am.
You speak the truth.
I d- and
We need somebody that's strong
Yes.
in that position. And
Yes.
Mr. Olson is that man. That's got the
Acknowledge-
strength of character and
acknowledge
the
the
knowledge of to
We have
carry
10
it
minutes
forward.
left out of those 30 calls.
well,
Well, actually,
actually, we're not really. You know what? We've managed.
Address, point of order.
Stop. Hold on.
You're running the time, but we
Hold on.
actually moved to the election and got out of the floor.
We did. He's actually right. We've skipped out of the forum. I don't know how we managed to do that.
Hey, Tom, let me say something. This particular part of this meeting should be done separate from the membership, first of all.
No, it cannot be.
Well, okay.
State
okay,
law actually
okay,
requires this.
You're right. But there shouldn't be any input from the membership, though. It should be the board itself. Just the board. I mean, everybody out here, a lot of us are ignorant to a lot of this stuff. You know, I told you that before. But the board should be the only one that's handling you all's positions. So, you know, everybody's heart is in the right place, but we're doing stuff wrong right now.
I'm in agreement with Hampton. And I am in an agreement as far as this. The organization has not operated in a transparent manner for a long time. And this is one of my pet peeves. To achieve that transparency. I don't mind interacting with you. And he's right, I shouldn't. And it's outside the decorum to do it, and outside of Robert's rules. So, to that, I apologize. You were going to
speak on the motion. Can we get back to that? That's where, because we haven't finalized that piece yet. I was elected to be the chairman of the Bylaws Committee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I do want to work with the attorney on that board, on that committee. I also want to know how the members are going to be chosen to that committee. We haven't finalized that piece of the business yet. There are supposed to be 8 other members of the association outside of myself. I'm 8, 9, so we need to get that piece of the business finalized.
How were you elected?
He actually just was.
They made the motion. The motion.
Hold on. Hold on, Robert. All right. So Hampton was the number 2 on the list, on the forum list. This was Hampton. Yes, he is. That's Robert.
All right. So he nominated him?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It was in my motion.
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I didn't even see where you were. I didn't know what he was, I thought he was talking about himself.
We managed to get out. We managed to step out of the forum, and we have one more seat to fill. And I'd like to jump back to that, and let's finish that piece of business and then revert back to the third speaker and the open forum. So I'm speaking of the vice president's nomination, and I'd like to nominate Linda Bass. So that's where my vote is.
I agree.
Okay. Okay. Robert, can we go back to your motion, sir? Your matter.
Yeah. My matter was working with the attorney and working with the board. I want to know how the 8 other committee persons are going to be chosen. I mean, we have a motion that passed, that I was the chair of the committee. Now I need to know who am I working with, and how those people are going to be elected, or selected, or appointed, or whatever.
As the chair, I would imagine that you would be able to do that appointment. You would be able to make that appointment, and I would foresee that the board would like to probably have a blessing over it of some type. Just to, back you up. Is that acceptable?
I just needed some guidance. That's
Okay.
all. And I would like for that to be in place too.
All right. And that'll be put in the meeting minutes too.
Okay. Then how soon is this committee going to start functioning?
What time is it?
7:39.
It started a minute ago.
All right.
Is there another,
I'm sorry, is there another? Yes. There's one right here.
Came in a little tardy.
I
Am
saw that.
excused?
Yes, you're excused.
Thank you.
Okay, so we jumped out of the forum, and for that I apologize. So let's jump back into it. Noemi?
yes, I had, and I was gonna address the same topic as the first person did on that $25 fee, we already addressed that.
Okay.
And also on these meetings, is it possible that these meetings are like maybe on a Saturday morning or somewhere, because I can't make them. Today I actually took off to be here. But I mean, I think it's important for everybody to get a chance to be at the meeting it might not be possible for a lot of people to come to meetings?
So this is something I'm going to abstain from because I can do it either a Monday or a Saturday. But I'd like to hear from the other board members how this affects them.
Saturday, I work some Saturday morning, so I would actually have to miss.
So we have one board member who actually has a business she actually has to run on occasional Saturdays.
But see, Monday night, I just do 10 or 15 minutes late when I have to work a Monday.
Personally, I don't think it'll work on Saturday.
Yeah.
It's on Saturdays, the majority of the homeowners are using the weekend for relaxation. And, during the week, it's hard enough, like you're saying, ma'am, I do understand that. But Saturday's even worse.
I think so too.
I guarantee you, on Saturday, you wouldn't have any participation.
I don't want to hear that.
Well, is there any other kind of form of communication to get through people?
There's-
Because the neighborhood didn't even know about the meeting.
There are some things that are on the horizon. We're going to discuss one of those tonight, including a new software package for managing our association. So let's do this. Let's table your concern for the moment. And let's come back around at the end of the meeting for that. Ellie, I'm not even going to make an attempt at it.
I'm closer. So easy.
Yes, it is, isn't it? Okay.
My question is, number one, I want to know what is going to happen.
Can you speak up a little? Or
You want the bullhorn?
No, I'll scream.
She's going to.
okay.
My question.
No, that's not the sign in. That's not
My
that.
question is there a way that we're going to get rid of Dorothy Malveaux? Whatever. As far as not being on anything that has to do with the Sterling Green.
I didn't hear the quote.
The question that Ellie has put up is the removal
Yes.
of Dorothy Malveaux. There is not a means that this.
This is for the architectural committee that we haven't got yet.
Okay. The means to remove a member of the board of directors requires the signature to a petition or vote for a motion, instrument of some type. It requires 1,100 signatures of homeowners, roughly. Going door to door. To remove her as a member of the board of directors.
About the office manager.
Right.
Yeah, how about everything?
Yes, you know.
Take her off of everything.
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Would you have faith if I asked you to table that part of this discussion for 1 month?
1 month?
Yes.
Okay. 1 month.
1 month.
Okay.
Okay? The matter of her presence as a member of the board of directors is entirely either in her hands, where she may choose to resign from the board of directors, or in the hands of the membership at large, where 1/2 plus one person of the homeowners may sign a document saying that they want her out. It's no different than anybody else being fired from this board of directors. That's how it works.
Okay. I have one more question that has to do with what she was talking about.
Okay.
Just one more. If you're going to repair a roof, why would you need not repair, but put on a new roof? Why would you need an okay from the homeowner since it's going to be?
It goes back to architectural control in that process. It is not a perfect system right now, and it's actually will be the deed restrictions are in the process of being revamped, where we will be reaching out to everybody in the community.
I can answer that.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead.
Several years ago, I'm talking, we've been in this community 20, 30 years. We've seen purple driveways.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen blue roofs. We've seen
Yellow houses.
all kind of crap, to the point to where on the roofs, I mean, the fiberglass is waving, it's so worn. So yeah, I can understand them wanting control of colors, because not everybody sees earth tone colors as earth tone colors.
Yeah.
So.
Some people are also, technically, some people are also colorblind too.
Yeah, that's true. So yeah, I don't know why there should be a problem with that. My problem is that, you know, it's just slow to come. Like right now, I got a leak, and unfortunately it wasn't found until like Wednesday or Thursday. Oh yeah, let me tell you, Saturday morning, my ceiling fell through in the closet. Okay, so, you know, yeah.
Okay, well, I've had 2 roofs put on my house since I've been here, but I never had to ask anybody anything, so, that's.
Everybody is gonna, when we get to the deed restriction process, which will start shortly after the bylaws process, for getting those revamped. Everybody will be involved, and we'll be getting your feedback, as well as we're required to get your vote. It's a matter of one of those 1,100 plus one extra, you know, 50% plus one person is required to actually for us to implement any changes to deed restrictions. And not only that, this also goes in a section by section manner. And we're subject to that. So if section 1 approves it, but section 2 doesn't, it creates problems for us. And this is one of those things which a committee and legal will be working together to address.
Let me ask a question as far as like we're talking about section by section. Section 1, I'm just speaking, you know, like section 1, your house is your house, but then like section 3, they have carports that were built on.
No, we don't.
Well, whatever, but no.
No, we don't.
Some of the sections.
Not in section 3, we
No,
don't.
no, I'm saying section 3, I don't mean literally section 3, but there are some sections out here like, over there, Tom, over there by you, aren't there some houses where carports are, or open covering? I mean, it's actually part of the house.
It's a part of it's a part of the master framework of the house.
Right. So my question is, when it comes to that, you can't. That's not going to be. Would that be allowed to be changed, like another section to incorporate the master plan of the house or the framework of the house?
There will be a matter of probably 2 things which we're going to have to discuss with legal. One is a grandfather clause of some type, and to establish that. And clearly, whatever, if there is something to the effect of no carports, yet structural engineer says that that's not a carport, that's an enclave or a porticlave or something like that. Portico.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. And these are things which we will actually have to take into account when we get to that point. But it will not go without a lot of thought and legal consideration as to what we can and cannot do going down the road.
You don't want somebody who put corrugated tin up in 4x4 or something.
No, sir, we don't.
Your property value there.
So,
It's happened to me.
all right, Ms. De Leon.
The least but not the last. Okay. Thanks for the time. It will be, I think, a little more than 5 minutes. Let me present myself. My name is Maria Cristina De Leon. Some of you might see me frequently in this park with my husband, with the rest of my family, which live at my house, because I've been resident here since April 22nd, 1992. And this is my first time at this meeting, concerning about 5 hard topics to address. First, the color of my house. Second, the restrooms at the park. Third, accessibility for paraplegics, quadriplegics, which is my husband, and or blind residents in our community. Fourth, allowance to change our garden as desired, because this is gonna be, it has been very limited. Fifth, the use of the bayou or the park without pets. So let's start by the first one. When I first painted my house a few years ago, when the Hurricane Ike hit our area, it was no problem, because it was covered by insurance. So when I painted, I chose my color and nobody complained. But recently, as we have some ups in my house, because we have an adjustment with my husband coverage from workers' comp, they choose to make an extra door in order to have different exits from my house to prevent emergencies. Now, if we were a fire in the kitchen, be able to live by his room. That's why he has a third exit door in the front area. Well, when I decide which colors to use, the board, I don't know who was, because I didn't come back to request, fee me with $350 if I don't change the color. So I decide to put a second coat over all my house in order not to pay those $300, but it was triple, because I have to pay the paint and the labor and the spend time on it. So that was totally bad for our family economy. It ran out of balance. Because the color of my house was originally brown. Then I changed it to yellow. They forced me by trying to fee me with $350 to change it to gold olive, but it didn't come gold olive because it was already the yellow under there. So it came like a poo-poo color. Believe me, I'm embarrassed with that kind of color. Who's gonna pay that?
Let me address first thing. When did this happen?
I have the paperwork on it, so I will let you know.
Like, let me ask this. Within the last 4 years,
Yes.
you're not fined.
No, I'm not fine because I changed the color.
Okay.
But
Then we
the
owe you an apology.
the expenses, I have to pay myself twice. Yes, because they dislike my color. What if I would pay the $350 and keep the yellow color? What will be the next step, sir?
I'm going to let her answer that question.
Can I
Please.
ask a question
Hold on.
real quick?
Nope. Wait.
Ma'am, basically what an association can do is if you won't change your color, even if you're fined, and they don't have the right to be fining you, but they could file a lawsuit against you, and a judge would sign an order ordering you to change the color.
But why?
Because you didn't get the color approved, and your governing documents state that you have to get colors approved by Architectural Control Committee. If you paint a house without getting approval, then you are subject to being sued, and if you won't comply and submit a request and repaint the house a proper color, a judge can sign an order and make you paint that house, and then if you don't, he can put you in jail for not painting that house.
Well,
Because you're
in
not
that
complying with
case,
his
when
order.
I moved to this area, nobody told me that. But as you address it right now, I'm gonna cross that one.
Okay.
The second one, what about the restrooms?
There's
The
a-
restrooms, excuse me.
Okay.
The restrooms here, we expect to use them every single minute that we are using the park, right, sirs and ma'ams?
Yeah, you have like a restroom here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Why do the board decide to close it at 4 o'clock if the park is open until 7:30 or 8?
I would like to address this for you.
Yes.
This is a management decision made by Dorothy Malveaux, who is the manager of the association, or manager of the office for the association. She's also a board member and is not here this evening. What she has done is actually in violation of the Americans with Disabilities Act. And to that, that's being fixed tonight. Okay?
And that mentioned that Mr. also said, I would like to add that during 83, 84, and 85, I was a coordinator of a support group for the spinal cord people guided by TIR, which is Texas Institute of Rehabilitation and Research, also by ADA secretary, which is back then Ms. Blanco, and by Houston Independent Living. So I always set meetings at here, at the Metropolitan Multi-Center in West Gray, or at Houston Independent Living. But I never did it here because I don't feel that was a safe park for those people. Could we do those meetings over here from now on if I restart that group?
We need to look at several of the legal ramifications, insurance, for instance. I have no problem.
Because it was non-profit support group.
We need to look. We just need to look at the overall at the overall things. If you would present us with something in writing on the details of the group, mission, who it's organized by, things like this.
It was organized by Carmen Salinas, which was a social worker at here, Maria Palacios, which is still our social worker at Houston Independent Living, and by Ms. Blanco from ADA.
Okay.
So those three people who are supporting me,
but
and
is
I was
there
just coordinating the meetings.
So is there an organization? Is this?
Yes.
So Herman Tier is now, Herman Hospital now has Tier. Is this a tier?
Doesn't matter. The structure of the basis of the hospital didn't change. Only changed the administration.
Okay. So
because my husband is still are a patient of that institution since August 18, 1990.
So let me ask you this. I want to address this with you. I want to help you with it. And I want to give you all the possible benefit I can to give you. Because of the technicalities of this, I'd like for you to, can we circle back around and meet after this meeting, or actually, not after this meeting, but
could be tomorrow or
yes.
any schedule that
Yes.
you have open on your
Yes,
agenda.
ma'am.
Okay. That's on accessibilities, which was, let me see, on the 3rd. But I don't think I hear anything about the restrooms at the park not being open until 7 p.m.
That's actually part of the ADA issue that we're going to start complying with.
Please.
Yes.
Because if we come through these gates,
I'm in agreement with you 100%.
we need to use the bathroom until the last minute.
You're right.
Not 3 hours prior to the closing of the gates. No matter if the pool is closed.
I'm in agreement with you.
If the people isn't here in the park, we need to use the restrooms. Sometime, or maybe people come in and out and not use them, but it's on their desire, not on the board desire.
Ms. De Leon, I assure you that this is being handled tonight.
Thank you. What I said about number 4, which is about the garden schools.
Can we come back to this? Because we're actually, way past our 30 minutes, which we allotted for this.
Well, I will let you the notes, and whenever we meet each other
Yes.
for these matters, let's address the other two, please.
You got it. Okay?
Thank you. Sorry about the papers.
Okay. I have one last person, Ms. Davis? Is it Ms. Davis? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward.
Good evening, everybody. I don't know anybody at the table. I can imagine this is Mr. Cox, I guess.
Mrs. Cox.
Miss Cox, okay, Olson.
Olson, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I messed that up, didn't
All right.
I?
Ms. Bass.
Okay, and
Susie Rice.
Rice, okay. 'cause
Ms.
this-
Rice is our attorney.
Okay, well, this is my first time coming to a meeting after living in the area ever since 1990. We've had some situations in the area that I've never came and, discussed. As far as my neighbors concerned, when you have problems with things that they need to do on their property that's affecting my property, to try to go to them to handle that, it hadn't worked. I came one time to the office, and after speaking to the person in the office, seemed like it didn't resolve anything, but it made situations worse as neighbors. So right now we're dealing with some issues that our neighbors' trees are on our property. We have a shed, and the tree is rotting our shed from our neighbor's property. That's just one of the issues, but my main focus and purpose for coming tonight, hopefully y'all can hear me, is because of the security. And I've been watching constantly things happening in the neighborhood, people going in my mailbox. I have security cameras, so if I'm not home, a lot of things that has happened around my home, I can run the cameras back and see what is going on. We've had people to come mess with the cars. I've had a window knocked out. In our section, it's an area that, I don't know what you would call it, but it leads over to the walking trail. I'm in section 7.
Over here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just since we've had Officer Safe, he has been great in keeping that area cleared out with cars coming and parking in the area. They come all through the day and night, but more or less on the shift that he works is when I see it being cleared out the most. They're doing, I would say, drugs, sex, and the person who I communicate with that lives on the corner house, she and I correspond, and she says what all they leave over there on the grounds, for as drinking and just different things. Now, I see that we only have officers safe a certain nights during the week. And as a resident over there, the way that he keeps that area when he's working, I would hope that he could do it day and night. I know you can't work a person day and night like that, but I'm so grateful that he's serious about the job, because he goes past what you would normally do as far as him getting paid to make sure our area is safe. And I love that about him. At one while we didn't have any security, and you could tell that we didn't have any, but when he comes back on the nights he's working, the people are aware that he's more or less paying a lot of attention, because they're scattered, on those nights. But then when he's not there, you just see flows of all kinds. And I'm down on the end where the traffic is in and out with that shopping center. So it's just like traffic. But you can really tell the nights that he works, because the criminals respect the fact that he's gonna come in, flash his lights, or run them out the neighborhood. So I'm here more or less because of crime everywhere is up. And for us to have a person like him, I'm just so grateful, and I would hope that he could stay forever. I feel safe when I go to sleep because his name is Safe. I really do. I feel really good on the nights that he works, because I really know that you see the patrol car. And if I see it, I know the criminals see it. No reflections to other officers that's working the security, because I don't even know them. Usually I'll go out and meet whoever it is securing our area, because I want to know who you are. And they come and go so regularly that you don't know if you had a person who just got the job to see what's going on in the neighborhood and quit. I don't really know what it's all about, but I just want you all to know that if it's a way that Officer Safe could patrol 7 days a week, I'll help pay his salary, because it's deserving to me as to what he does. And I'm not just saying it because he's here. If he wasn't here, I would still want you all to know the kind of security that he is. It's not about, I don't even think he could get paid what he's really worth.
The truth is so, that's the word I'm looking for right now. The truth is so truthful.
So is it a way that can be put on the table?
Nope,
like,
not really.
No? It can't?
Sorry. Here's, by the way, probably one of our longest serving security officers is actually a certifiable gunfighter like me. He actually is a former diplomatic security service contractor in Iraq in the Green Zone. He used to actually protect our State Department personnel, including our ambassador, as a personal security officer. So he's a bargain for what we get him for. Yeah, I'm not kidding you. He actually is he's a true gunfighter.
Well, he's different and he's unique and he's special to my family and me. Nice meeting all of you all. And again, I don't know what we need to do when it comes down to having issues with our neighbors. How would we handle it so that we won't be having conflicts with one another?
If you could circle back to me this week at the office, or I'll give you my number here in a minute. If you and let's talk about this. But there's actually limits to what we can and cannot do. And
but then my husband is here as well as my daughter, and we've asked our neighbors several times because if it's their tree and they say we damaged their tree.
Let's hold on, wait, folks, hold on. Hey, I'm gonna ask our corporate counsel to go back to the back and just discuss with you and your husband about best alternatives.
Okay, a nice meeting all of you all. Nice meeting you.
Also on your box,
nice meeting
your mail, if someone is
they going in it.
Okay, you need to call the postal.
I paid for
inspectors.
I paid for a P.O. box because they were still in there. So now that I have a P.O. box, they still going in.
No, call the postal inspectors, because that's their job. Because if someone is going in your box taking mail and stuff, they have to come out and they have to do a check. And they will set up.
Discuss with Susan, because it becomes federal, not just state. And federal, you actually can get a federal cop easier probably than a local sheriff's officer. She can discuss that with you.
Okay, one other thing. I don't know if anybody else is going through problems with people coming in your yards, messing with your cars, but I don't work and I'm at home all the time, and I've seen cars working with other cars where they'll let females out of their car and go to your house, looking in your car, ringing your doorbells to see if anybody's home. And they'll come to certain houses and skip some night. They have papers like they passing out flyers, but if you passing out flyers, everybody should get one, not just a few houses. So I watch them come to my house and my neighbor, and then they skip all the rest of it and go to houses where cars are. So there's a lot of crime issues going on over there.
And we're going to address, we actually have some security issues in the agenda here tonight.
Okay. Well,
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Okay, so that concludes the open forum, and it went a little bit longer, but that's okay. So let's get back to the agenda items. Linda, you want to pick this back up, or do you want me to?
Where are we?
On number 6 for new business.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know.
Somebody say we're on number 4.
I agree, number 6.
You know what? We actually are on number 4. All right, so we have a treasurer's report, which we don't have a treasurer from the previous meetings. We have a new treasurer, and our new treasurer is going to start getting into even more of our financial issues. But what you're going to start seeing from the treasurer and from our responsibility as board members is to actually produced a board report that creates, it's documents that make that transparency there for everybody. So that's future coming. So 4B, the committee reports for the Nominations and Election Committee. Hampton, can you get up and can we put on the record for the meetings on the election for the board? Because this is, technically this is kind of the first meeting that we've had, in a way, of the general membership meeting. So,
okay,
it's all it's in your court.
all right. That last meeting was a special meeting, so no minutes were taken, I'm assuming.
There probably were, but we haven't been able to actually.
All right. Okay, the result of the election, before I give the actual totals of the votes, we had 5 categories. One was one category for not being a homeowner. We had 11 of those. We had duplicates, 5 duplicates, which means that they voted twice. They tried to vote twice. We had 4 that were invalid, and we had 6 Sterling Green South, which is over here. They're not even part of us. So those were the categories of the ballots that we threw out. Okay. Now, on the actual vote election, Tom Olson had 264. Gloria Cox had 264. Deborah Cox had 51. Maria Sosa had 49. Joel Salinas had 10. Corey McKay had 7. Now, anybody want to?
If anybody on the board would like to appoint to this committee, you guys like to appoint somebody?
Like, I'm not thinking about it right now, but I know there's some people that I would like
I
to
need someone on the
participate.
election committee
3 spots.
Okay.
to second what I just said.
I second.
Okay. So, Mario Rodriguez second
Okay.
what I just said.
On the motion, on the results.
And that's a copy of everything.
Excellent.
Anybody have any questions on what we did? And now that we have a bylaw committee, the election committee will be forthcoming with changes on how we do elections. So we won't have this ruckus that we had this time. Because a lot of stuff we're doing is primitive. And we're gonna be bringing some changes, recommending them, and then the bylaw committee can actually put any changes that's made in the bylaws. Thank you.
Okay. Section 4C. Whenever this board is going to meet and deliberate things which are covered under things which are pertain to privacy of individual members, personally identifiable information, matters of legal subjects, legal matters, meet with our attorney, things like this, and matters of personnel. These are the only things which this board of directors can actually adjourn to what's called an executive session. And the executive session, it's spelled very specifically in the Texas law that these are the things which you can discuss in an executive session. There are things which we can discuss just incidental if we all met outside of this organization, outside of a regular meeting. But the state law specifically says, here's what we must discuss publicly. Anything that has to do with policy, fines, and such, all those things have to be discussed in public with y'all. And this is one of those things which ensure the transparency of the organization. However, when we meet for the executive sessions, we're required to come back at the next meeting and actually give you an oral summary of what was discussed at that executive meeting. Because the meetings are, the subject of the meetings are of a delicate nature, be it personnel, law, legal matters, and personal information, that oral summary will not contain information related to those people or maybe to a policy. Where we can, we will always discuss and disclose to the members the matters that were discussed in that executive session. Does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Since the last time this organization had a quorum, there has been no executive meetings. So, at this time, we're going to skip 4C. 4D is going to come from me for a special report. And this is my findings. Last month we had an investigation from the Department of Labor. And the matter was regarding overtime payments made through a complaint by two previous employees. And so the Department of Labor investigators came in and performed an audit of timesheets for employees current and past. The Department of Labor has determined that between $80,000 and $85,000 in back pay is due no less than 4 employees. As a matter of this board's business, it's our duty to actually disclose these kinds of findings to you. This is going to be an expense, a very large expense that we're going to have to outlay here in the next 30 to 60 days. Does anybody have a question about this?
What work they pay?
The person you would have to ask is not here this evening.
I was just curious, do they just have time sheets, or do they have a time clock, or?
They do.
I'm sorry?
They do. There is a time clock, and
There is a time clock, okay, I was just.
How far back did this investigation go?
what's the statute of limitations?
What time frame did it cover?
It covered from current back, it's either 4 or 7 years. But they actually went through timesheets and actually redid all the math on them. And I was surprised 2 guys did that many timesheets in that amount of time. The other things which the investigators performed were make sure that we were in compliance with our documentation that must be hanging up on walls, Department of Labor notices, things like that. You have a question?
I have a question. The person responsible for these discrepancies and fractions, why is that person still responsible for this job? I mean, any other organization, the person would have already been terminated.
You're right. And I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked her. I'm going to ask you to hold faith in me that and give me 30 days. Okay? Okay?
Yeah, because if that was being committed, I mean, until here, to me, recently, that's coming out, that's hurting
It is.
all of us, where things could have been improved, money spent very well.
Or just the realization or the actualization that that's a capital outlay that we have to make today that we may not have realized we would. These things will have to be taken into consideration going forward on our budgets and our financial matters. Gloria has her hands full. She not only is running a very large business and the amount, just speaking of the dollar amount, what she has to deal with in her business, but she's going to have to get into this as well. And I have a feeling that I'm going to be helping a lot.
Transparency.
Transparency, yes. So.
Okay, we have 80,000 between, you said between 80,000?
Between $80,000 and $85,000, depending on the fine amount.
So what do we have? What do we have available? What is the budget now, or what's in the account now? I'm sure we have more than enough to cover that, right? Because
we do.
I've never seen a financial.
To the best of our knowledge, at this time, our annual budget is somewhere in the vicinity of $500,000 operating budget.
Say half?
$500,000 operating annually. To the best of what we have been able to do, of what we've been able to, numbers we've been able to crunch, we have roughly $750,000 in assets. Shortly, we will be able to present an actual report down to the dollar and cent of where this organization stands financially. Do you want to say anything else on this?
No. Yeah, with time, we'll be able to be transparent. Well, with time, we will be able to be transparent where at any time, between the hours of 8 and 5, you will be able to come in and see the financial records to see where we stand. And that's what we are working towards.
As well as you'll be able to go online and look at these things as well.
So, wait, you said later on down the line we'll have transparency.
We have to attain we have to attain a firm grip on where we stand fiscally right now, down to the dollar and the cent.
But wouldn't transparency help that?
Oh, it would, but we can't give it to you right now because we can't find it ourselves. We literally, let me say this. We literally do not have our checkbook in our hand right now. Still.
How long has this been going on?
It comes to an end tonight. That being said.
Well, now I feel better about writing a check for the properties that I have owned. Right.
The situation is this. This organization owes a lot of money to the members, whereas we have fined people for deed restrictions which were not properly processed. And we're going to have to actually, there's going to be a reckoning, a financial reckoning that's going to have to come with this. Our staff is actually, people have asked, we're too heavy on staff. Right now, I'm not inclined to say we need to let any staff go because of the audit process, which is going to be forthcoming. It's going to be a large task to audit over 2,200 accounts. We have our hands full. We also have a bylaws initiative and a deed restrictions initiative to revamp our deed restrictions. If we get all of this, everything done this year, it will be a monumental task. And I will be amazed. Okay? I ask for everybody's patience here. We have to get our hands on everything so that we can report back to you and fulfill our responsibilities, our fiduciary responsibilities to each one of you. Go ahead.
Okay, I have kind of a request. The security people are really good, I will say that, but there's one car that goes by that goes a little bit too fast to actually check out houses. There's another car that goes very slow and checks out the places.
Can we come back to this on another time? Because we're getting away from this.
I know, I just thought about it.
Your point is important, and again, we're going to address some security things.
Okay.
Does anybody else have any questions related to the labor issue? Okay. We managed to go to number 5, somehow. So, and now we're going to jump to new business. So, on new business under A, this is the implementation of the TOPS 1 Homeowners Association Management System. One of the things we need to actually do to achieve our transparency and our accounting requirements is to actually use a double entry accounting system, which falls under generally accepted accounting principles. And this is things which certified public accountants use. The system that we need to implement, if we do it in a manner like more traditional associations may do, it may become a matter of we have a accounting system in one hand and then a membership management system in another hand. But there's a vendor out there which can actually do both. To a great extent, this is all done online. So it's a cloud-based set of tools for both us as the staff and you as the members, because you'll actually be able to log in to the system, look at your account in real time, submit any kind of architectural control request, and receive approvals back. As members of the board, we're going to be able to look at everything that's going on at a glance within the association. It's called TOPS, and we use a very simple version of it right now. But I have placed on the agenda for us to migrate up to this system. In the agendas, there is information which y'all will be able to review later on how the system works and where the benefits are.
Go ahead. No, that's
Mario.
Will we be able to pay our fees online?
You actually will. One of the benefits of this is that our income stream will actually speed up. So you can actually go online, set your credit card information in, and if your credit card doesn't expire in 3 years, your payment will be done automatically. Right now, the amount of traffic that comes to the window is not excessive, but it is not really necessary. You should be able to actually go online, enter either a checking account number and the routing number, or a credit card, or if you need to make a payment arrangement, you can actually do this all online with the online tools.
Can we also prepay so we can be paying now to cover the following year?
It's my understanding that you can do that. There may be limitations to it. Don't hold me to that at this moment.
I mean, it just makes it easier to me if you can pay a little bit throughout the year, so when January 1 next year falls around, you're trying to, for Christmas, that's one less bill you have to concern yourself with because you've been making payments all along throughout this year for the following year.
That's a good point. And we'll actually probably try to push that so that people are aware of that.
Okay, my question is, we already have a step-down version of TOPS that's in place, right?
We do.
From what I understand, it hadn't really been implemented or used to the full potential. So before we take that next step up, shouldn't we try to make sure that what we have in place, it may be what we need.
It won't do it. Here's
You said you had to review it. That's why you said you had to review what needs what the upgrade is, right? And what we have. So that's why I'm asking.
So the current system offers no online services whatsoever. It offers no benefit to the members. It offers no benefit at all to the membership, to the members, to the homeowners, because they're not able to go online, look at deed restrictions, look at violations, or pay assessment fees. Or there's no online tools at all for the community. This will affect down the road our tooth to tail ratio of how many employees it takes to operate the office. There is a long-term savings consideration to this.
So what you're saying, what we currently have is basically obsolete. It hasn't kept up with the time and with the technology.
It was never implemented properly to begin with.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. You said it wasn't implemented properly from the beginning. So
It doesn't have any.
why don't we implement it before we spend more money?
It doesn't have the, it doesn't have the tools.
It doesn't have the tools we need. It has no tools that we need. It's not upgradable. It is it's a 2004 version running on an Access database. Yes.
So it's not that it wasn't implemented correctly. It's just we have no purpose.
It's twofold. It is, yes. It's not implemented correctly. And it's also obsolete.
Okay. Like I said, like I've always said, my question is always, I'm concerned with the money. We can save a couple of bucks, I save it.
Mr. Chairman, I see it, whatever you're talking about there, you're gonna spend a ton of money. And you said in one of your statements that we will purchase. Have you gotten approval from the owners? If we are yet to do this purchase?
We do not require actually a approval from the owners. This was a board decision.
But you spending our money.
You're right, and you've appointed us to be.
At least you should put it in a motion.
No.
To accept our proposal.
No. That's not how this works.
They're running a corporation.
Yeah.
Just like any other board running a corporation. You've appointed you've elected 5 people to spend the money like they see fit and make a business decision. They don't put it out, just like Exxon doesn't put it out to their stockholders, hey, we're going to spend money on a new freighter. They go spend the money on the new freighter and they tell them at the meeting that we did this. That's the same thing. You have a board who makes the decisions. Y'all don't vote on that. They're just making you aware of what they're looking at and the problems they're facing and what they're going to possibly spend money on to update the system.
It's the way that it's written, it seems as though it's already been decided that we're going to spend this money without actually telling us.
We're telling you right now, and to the effect we're being transparent. We're going to vote on this in a moment to move forward with this or not.
That's what I was saying. Are you going to put it in a motion that?
There's no the motion. This isn't a floor motion element. It's not. This is an executive decision.
Who does the board work for? The board works for the association, right? Which is what Mr. Roberts is saying. I understand what he's saying.
Yes.
The board works for us. So why would we not be?
The board works for the board works for the community as a whole, not as an individual.
He didn't say as an individual, and I'm not speaking as an individual as well. I'm speaking for the community because we said you guys are up there because of transparency, right?
We're up here because we were appointed by the people.
Your platform was transparency.
It is.
Your platform is transparency. Transparency doesn't say, oh, we're going to make this decision and then tell the people. Bring the decision to the people. I understand that's what you say what's supposed to happen. What's supposed to happen next, right? Did I understand that correctly?
We're voting on this tonight.
Okay, so it's being brought to, but in general, like Mr. Robert is saying, things should be brought to us so we can know. And like I said, my only concern is the money and things are being done correctly. That's my only concern. I've said that from day one. And that, again, if you guys are spending money, we do need to know. Just like, we had you came with the labor board investigation, which was money, so we need to know about that, right? That's nothing to vote on because that's the labor board. Last meeting we talked about some other stuff that dealt with money. Again, as long as it pertains to money, our money, because it's not the board's money, it's our money.
So here's how this works. If you own common stock across the, you go online.
Not to cut you off, but we can't compare what we do here to boardrooms, because you and Ms. Rice keep doing the same thing. And
But you're a
that's
corporation.
This is a corporation.
But that is not. We have not ran anything like a corporation.
But sir, the state of Texas.
Because they
We
make
have not.
Sir,
they make all the decisions in there, all these cars.
Ma'am, who's
wait.
making the decision? What do you mean? He's making a decision now.
Ma'am,
Stop.
I'm calling this meeting to order at this time. I'm calling this meeting to order.
You are recognized by the state of Texas as a corporation. Corporations are run by board members. They are not run by members. It's just, I'm sorry, don't wait.
They're ran by shareholders.
No.
Sir, no, they're not. No, they are not. The day-to-day decisions.
If the shareholder does not give them their money, what happens?
Sir, if you don't give your money, you can be sued by the decision of the board of directors on behalf of a corporation. Sir, you chose these people to run a corporation. They run it like a business. The courts will never come to y'all and say, all right, guys, let me find out how many of y'all voted to sue this person for deed restriction violations. They look at these 5 people and say, did y'all vote? Yes, on behalf of the corporation to spend this money or file this lawsuit or settle this lawsuit or fire this employee. That's all done by the board. In every corporation, they can't go to the members and ask for approval on everything. They get nothing done.
Where do the board members get their information and their decisions from?
Sir,
They get it from the shareholders.
the governing documents give them the decision.
yes,
The articles of incorporation, the bylaws, and the declarations are the governing documents, and that's
I suggest that we move on because this is going to be a
the Texas Business Organization Code tells them where they get their power as board members. It does not state members have the power to run a corporation. So they're discussing it right now, and then they will vote on it.
Yep.
I make a motion to adjourn
This
this meeting.
is your motion is not valid because we still have items on the agenda. What?
We're gonna get into a shouting match back and forth.
We're not gonna get nothing to talk about.
So you have to call the meeting back to order, and then let's move on with the rest of the business.
And I have called the meeting to order, which I pointed at council to address his issues. Okay? So, this is where we stand. The vote is to move forward with the TOPS 1 software so that we can actually establish transparency and start delivering an online service to the members so that we actually can provide transparency, communication, other means of paying your annual assessment fees.
And making it cheaper to pay them.
And making it cheaper to pay them. So where we can save money down the road. We have an offset which we will gain down the road because we will be able to drop at least one employee that costs $24,000 a year, roughly, with $12,000 worth of software on an annual basis. It's a net savings is what we're talking about implementing.
How soon do you plan on implementing is there a launch date for it? That's a better question.
In the next 2 weeks to 4 weeks. It's a matter of when they can accommodate the transition of the data from the old top system to the new.
So basically by next week.
By the next meeting. Okay? So, the current vote by the members of the board of directors to implement the TOPS 1 software. All in favor? Just the board. The vote is 2-1 or 2-1 abstain.
No, I vote
Oh, did you
No,
vote?
I vote
Okay.
no. Because, well, I have a problem with it because it sounds good. I don't know anything about the program. And what about our seniors that don't get on computers? They gonna still have to come up here.
And
to
that
do-
is right.
do things.
That is right.
So, but they gonna be paying for a service that they can't use.
Go to the library and use it.
No, some seniors don't use computers at all.
Okay, I have a question.
This office will still address manual payments. Nothing has changed there. It's just the amount of people that we have operating the office. What?
The question is, so it hadn't been discussed by the board? Because Ms. Linda said, Ms. Linda's like,
I don't know
she's not
anything
aware of it.
about
So
it.
if it wasn't discussed by the board, how's it being voted on?
She has chosen not to communicate with us.
No, I have not chosen not to communicate with you. Don't go there with me.
I don't think this is the proper time to get into that. We need to stick with the agenda.
This is something right here that
Yeah.
should be in an executive session.
This is not, actually, this is not an executive session. This is not by law allowed to be in an executive session.
Or at least bring her, form and then bring it to the owners.
We don't bring it to the owners.
Bring it to the meeting.
The vote is 2-1 for the implementation of TOPS 1.
Yeah, I would just like to say this. I think the way we operate, we are behind the times. We need to come up where we can pay our assessment dues online. We need to be able to submit AC applications online. All the other newer homeowners associations, they are doing that. Why not us? As big as we are, 2,200 homes, we should be there.
Parkway Forest, Kings Lake Forest, all them are.
Yeah, they operate online. Why are we gonna continue to operate in the past? At some point in time, we need to come up.
You're right.
That's right. Well, where was Corey 2 years ago when they were embezzling the money? Why weren't you asking all those questions before?
Say it again?
Why weren't you asking all those questions before when they were embezzling the money and doing everything they were supposed to?
When did you find out about it?
Well, I found out about it probably in October or November.
Okay, did you ask about it?
Did I ask?
Did you ask about it?
Get the meeting back in.
I'm calling the meeting back to order at this time. I'm calling the meeting back to order. No, you're not recognized. You're not recognized.
We're back on the top.
No, you're not recognized. We've discussed this enough. We've discussed this enough, and the vote has been taken.
It's a question. There's a question.
It is not. You're not recognized.
Robert's rules of order.
You're not recognized. One more thing, and the officer will remove you from the. At this time, remove that man from this meeting.
I pay my dues. I'm not being removed from
You are being removed. You can leave peacefully, or we can call law enforcement, which you will be asked to leave.
I think we need to call the sheriff's office because I will not be removed.
Let's just try to get back on track.
What did she just ask me? She asked me, did I ask questions? I'm asking questions now. My questions are now.
You're not.
You mean a payment? Look.
You're not being recognized. You're not recognized. The vote has already been taken. We're moving to the next agenda item.
Stuff's all coming up missing and screwed up again, people. Remember this day. Remember this day. That's all I'm gonna say.
Corey, please, let us move on.
I'm trying to move on. I'm asking questions because.
But see, you still talking, and we can't conduct to keep moving on. Can we please get?
Fine, we can address it at another time.
Thank you. Let us move on, please.
Corey, leave. That's it.
Well, can we get
Officer
you to?
Syed, call the Harris County Sheriff's Office.
I'm not speaking to anyone. You're addressing me. I'm not speaking to you.
If he could just be quiet.
At this time, call the Harris County Sheriff's Office. Remove the gentleman from the property. At this time, I'm instructing officers, remove the gentleman from the property. This meeting will be held orderly. Corey, leave peacefully, please. He does. He actually does. I actually do.
Harris County Sheriff Department might have the right to arrest them, but these people can't even write a ticket. And you're going to tell me they can arrest somebody?
Yes, they actually can.
But they need to start writing tickets then.
Stop resisting. Stop resisting. Stop resisting, sir. Stop resisting. Okay, stop resisting. All right? Stop resisting. Walk with us. Walk with us. Walk with us. Right. Walk with us. Walk with us. Of course, stop resisting. Stop resisting. Corey, just leave.
Corey, just leave.
Some people do it.
What's the address here?
14807 South Sterling Green.
Can we start the meeting again?
And right now, the third board member is out there trying to counsel him. Yes, go ahead.
I mean, because they're not gonna be productive on the board, then why do you have them there?
3 meetings.
3 meetings?
Yeah.
Okay, it'll be documented that.
It is.
And that she's not cooperating on the vote?
Well, it's not, she's voting her right. It's not that she voted no on the purchase, on the upgrade. So the vote was taken properly. So previously the organization has not discussed any purchasing at all in front of the people.
Tom, would a system like this in place allow us to view immediately funds being misappropriated?
Yes.
Thank you.
That's exactly the point of having an updated system. Right.
It is.
And if somebody doesn't understand
People can
it,
see
then maybe they need to
financials.
come in and get educated.
Well, they can see financials, everything else. I mean, in all the other associations I represent, the people can go online and see the financials.
And they're right around here.
themselves.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like down the road.
Right. So it's a good system for y'all, because it makes everything just open to you to where you see exactly what's being spent for landscapers, everything.
And if you just look at the numbers very quickly, let's say we spend $12,000 on this, and I hate to put people out, but if it saves us from paying somebody's salary of $30,000 a year, we're gonna pay $12,000. We're saving $18,000.
Keep looking over here at our table. One of us got home.
I don't know what they make, I'm just saying.
I know, just look at our table over here, me and Kathy goes, we're the only two that work that office, one of us gotta go.
No, I mean, you know, I just.
Yeah, we get one door, I guess, I know, I do. Yeah, that's right. There's three of us.
Corey has claimed he went to law school too.
What's that?
Corey's claimed he went to law school.
No, he didn't.
No.
He didn't take corporations.
How long is she gonna stay up there?
I don't know.
Don, he didn't take corporations class.
If you went to law school, I mean, great. Yeah.
Linda, please come back to the meeting.
Need a board member, not a babysitter.
I'm glad you said it. I was thinking it.
I said it. I mean,
I don't know, but if he continues to be so argumentative with every single meeting,
Yeah.
is there any way that he can vote it out?
It can be discussed with him openly in a meeting just like this. We don't want to go there. We don't want to go down this road. We really don't. We really need to be in order, and this is a very long agenda tonight for this being the first meeting, but these things have to be discussed tonight for us to get started on getting bylaws committees back up and getting getting all these things that we need to do to move forward. We cannot do without discussing these things in front of everybody.
Okay, so we can move on now, right?
Yes, we can. So, see, part two of the upgrades is going to be actually it's going to be B. So, the way the top system works, it actually has a client application and web browser, which works with the cloud software that TOPS is. What this gives the staff the ability to do is we're going to be able to go to a house, stand in front of the house, and actually photograph with an iPad and know that we're actually photographing the correct house and a violation that we can photograph from the street. We have a problem where like 10% of our deed violations that we had been sending notices out to weren't even at the correct property.
Yeah, I'm one.
So,
I'm sure everybody
I'm one.
probably got it.
Like, this ain't my house.
yes, and I too have received those.
Yeah.
So have I.
So this is one of the advantages of the application as well. We're actually able to take these to the field and meet with people. We can sit down with somebody outside of the office, go through what the situation is with their account. If we need to reset a password, something as easy as that can actually be done probably from our phones as board members. We can go in, log in, and set a password for somebody. So there is a lot of things that are going to have to be done with that, and to do this, to go out and actually meet with everybody that's a member, we're going to have to implement tablet-based computers for interacting with everybody. The secondary use on the tablets will actually be we're going to be able to go into the field when we actually get around to doing the bylaws ratification as well as the deed restriction ratification. We'll be able to use a software application called BASE, which is a canvassing software, in conjunction with the tablets to make sure that we're not missing actual homeowners. It's the same application that myself and Gloria used when we approached everybody for are to know that who was a homeowner and who wasn't. So this is the secondary. This is the second part of this. And it's going to be B. It's going to be for the purchase of iPads for staff, and probably one extra, along with cellular service on at least 2 units, so that we're going to be able to use these in the field and get our everything ratified that we need to get ratified. So at this time, based on item B, put it up for a vote. I'm in favor of the purchase.
So am I.
Those opposed? Linda, are you opposed or for? Are you reading it?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you a second.
Okay, so this is something that's going to go along with the software for the office.
It is, yes.
Okay, and this is going to be used by
the staff that's out doing deed restrictions.
Okay.
In the office, people working with customers who come in. And even can be used for, as board members.
Okay, so we're going to still have the desktops, or the desktops are going to, are they?
There's the obsolete desktop. I think Kathy's desktop is probably the most obsolete.
Okay.
And the ones that are in the deed restriction office are just absolutely need to be thrown away.
Wow.
I mean, they're running Windows XP and can't be upgraded.
Okay, so how many iPad Pros are you?
We're looking at an initial purchase of one just to perfect the system and work out any bugs which we might encounter. And then the purchase is going to be for 2 more after that once we have it up and running.
Wow. Okay, we're spending a lot of money on it.
We are, but we're going to be saving a lot of money.
How much are those iPads?
They're $9.29 each. $9.29 on the individual units. The people that are out doing deed restrictions are going to need card chargers for them.
Tom, just a quick question. If by some possibility, I know there's some concern about people that maybe have accessibility issues or elders don't, because these iPads be by special request. I know it's not maybe for everybody, but the iPads could also be utilized maybe to help them, show them how to pay their bill online once we have these new systems.
Very much so. Very much so. Yeah. Yeah. You'll be able to. The application works mostly off of a web browser that's on the tablet, and we're going to be able to actually get into it and show people what to expect out of it, where to make payments, things like that.
The ones that don't have it, I mean, they can go up to the office and pay.
Yeah.
Of course, of course.
They still can. They still can.
Even if you don't, I mean, well, we can even set up a kiosk where if they don't have a computer at home, that they can still go and make the payment at a publicly accessible computer.
Library.
Even the libraries too. What we want to facilitate the income stream so that we can get the revenues in from the assessments. Right now, taking in assessments at the beginning of a year, it's a giant mess. I mean, it is seriously, there has got to be an audit that the staff is going to hate, because we're going to have to audit every single home's account. There's no getting around it.
But that'll be okay, because then it'll be perfected when everything is implemented.
It will.
Next year it'll be easier.
And next year it gets
Easier.
things get easier and easier as we go.
You know how you gotta kind of make a mess before you get it cleaned up?
Scramble it, break some eggs.
Business has to, you gotta
Been
spend money
there,
to bring
done
it up
that.
to date. Just part of it.
So you're saying that when they audit every single account, if there were people out there that were not paying for any other reason and maybe they were overlooking that, we would find that out?
Right now, I believe that there are homes that are not even in our system.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, that's how bad things are.
Can we move on?
We can. I'm waiting on her.
Oh, okay. One more question.
Okay.
At the top of the next page.
Okay.
Where you said, okay, one-time cost
Yeah.
per unit.
Yes.
Okay, what is that?
Oh, the queue. Okay, so what it is that that particular item is a part of number 3. They can do one of two things. It's going to be either an OtterBox type of protective case shell, or one that is a foldable keyboard folio type. It'll fall into one of those two categories.
Okay. Now that was the $149, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, right under that 1,079 and 1,099. What?
Oh, that's the summary of the one-time cost. So that's what that is the one-time cost plus the car charger, and then either one of the two case options. That's what that is referring to.
Oh, that was the total.
Yeah, that's the summary of the purchase.
Okay.
Several.
Another question, Tom. Maybe on the next meeting, should the board members go over the agenda? Don't they go over the agenda before? So that we don't have to waste all this time?
This is where we need. It is where we need to be. You're right.
Maybe they should get here 15 minutes before.
This.
Read your agenda and go through the whole thing.
Well, this got kind of dropped in our lap at the last minute. So this is normally done by Wanda Paite, but she's not here. As the secretary, it's actually her task to do.
Shall we go?
Linda, we voted two already.
Okay,
Oh, okay. So, all right. So the motion is passed on the purchase for the hardware. I'm, out of respect for her, I'm trying to give her the time to go over it and let her ask questions. So that's kind of why this has gone on. All right.
Well, I think we've let it go on enough.
Okay. Item C, we were talking about security a little while ago. We're looking at implementation of some security technology in the community. This is a FLIR and color overlay camera. It's an industrial type of unit used for securing industrial facilities, but there's also consumer-based and commercial-based options similar to this one. What we're looking at is we're looking at a feasibility study, and we may have to just table this particular motion for tonight just because of the time. But I would like to get at least y'all's feedback right here, right now on this. We have some issues with security. We've had an armed robbery that's occurred here recently, and other problems, as mentioned about Section 7. These cameras can actually be set up, and they're similar to what you actually get on the tollway with similar software. But within this box, there's actually a license plate reading software package that sends an image of a license plate and the vehicle, plus the data, the actual license plate data and text back to a central system. That system will be able to, we can implement the system at all the entrance and exit points to the community. This means that we're looking at 8 cameras just in the main section for Sterling Green. And we're looking at 4 cameras in section 7. And then maybe 8 or 12 cameras across Delldale. And they're not cheap, but the offset would be that we would not need security at the level which we're using security right now. Also, what these cameras give us the ability to do is that if a crime does occur in the neighborhood, we can physically go to a system and look and say, between these 2 times, who is my most likely vehicle, who is transient in the neighborhood, who came in and left between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m., and get a list of vehicles that have come in and out of the neighborhood in that period.
Will it be able to be preloaded with, like, let's say, for example, a homeowner's license plate, so that we can say, oh, this one's not a license plate?
The software will trend the license plates which are known license plates, and pretty much it starts to ignore them. But if one of your vehicles were to get stolen in the middle of the night, we can look and see when it left and look at the picture of the person who left with it. The value of these cameras, being that they are a thermal technology, offer us the ability to capture license plates unlike anybody else can. It is crystal clear. We don't get the flare that occurs from infrared cameras because we're using a thermal technology. So it's a crystal clear image. Black and white, but crystal clear. What I had placed on the agenda for the night was about a $15,000 feasibility study for us to just set them up in this spot right here and look at what we can capture and the quality of it. And work with law enforcement to say, how many stolen vehicles came in? How many vehicles were on watch lists that came in this period? As a means to justify to work to getting this justified as a purchase. Other things that the cameras do, by putting up the proper signage saying this is the technology that we are implementing, it makes it to where criminals do not want to come in here because the technology is so good at capturing who's coming in or out. It also discourages criminals from moving into our neighborhood because if they are associating with other criminals, then their friends aren't going to come into the neighborhood. We also have the future potential to implement with the Harris County Sheriff's Office for real-time to the Real-Time Crime Center and possibly capture stolen vehicles that transition through the neighborhood. And finally, there's a possibility that we can implement some type of monitoring where we can then go back to Harris County and go, we have people that are speeding through the neighborhood on a regular basis. Because between this point and this point, they're photographed, and this little time that it shows that this person's exceeding 50 miles an hour on a regular basis. So, I'm bringing this up tonight, but I'm going to table this because we're running out of time, but I at least want y'all to look at this. The potential cost to put a system like this up can be in excess of $120,000, almost certainly not more than $150,000.
For all 15?
For the entire camera system. It works off of a mesh network, and what it would give us the ability to do is probably cut our security force in half, or 1/2 of the time, where it would be offset with the technology. Again, this goes back to a savings measure and improvement in the result of trying to cut down on crime. I cannot make any promises. I can't say if we spend $150,000 today, we save it tomorrow. I can't say that right now. It's not possible for me to. This is why I'm putting up a feasibility study. What can we capture with it? How well can it work in our community? So I'm going to be researching this a little bit more. But this is one of the things that we're thinking about. Okay?
It's going to be a good idea because where we live, we've been here 10 years, and several times we've had that I've seen, and I've actually chased after the people a couple of times, where they park and they've got a notepad and they're watching and they're writing down addresses, vehicle registrations, types of vehicles, and they're looking, and then they move on, and then they park and sit there. And when you approach them, then they speed off and leave. And I've also seen them, vehicles cruising really slow and looking at houses, what vehicles are there, and if you come back, if you sit around long enough, you'll see that vehicle comes by 5 or 6 hours later, checking those houses again. Yeah, I've noticed that for some time.
Here's what I can assure you of this. The value of the cameras and the impact on the crime, to what extent, it will increase the value of the neighborhood in a whole. Because they are that effective.
Yeah.
I can't put an exact dollar figure on that, but I know that everybody's property value will increase because we will be known among the criminal element that we take security it's a big deal here, and they'll be caught coming through here.
It's like the city of Deer Park. Criminals go around it.
I understand, yeah. I understand it's that way. So this is all I have on this. Last thing I think we have on this agenda was the implementation of Google Business for records, for email, calendaring, video, voice conferencing. It offers a replacement for Microsoft Office. And 4, an archive and retention system that we need very badly.
Are we currently using Office 365?
No.
This makes total sense.
Yeah.
I run this for a nonprofit, and this will solve all kinds of problems. The retention policies and everything.
So, Linda, do you have any questions about this?
No.
Okay. So we want to move, I want to make a motion, let's move on a vote on item D at a cost for $10 per user per month to allow us to operate, again, in the 21st century to get our document retention down and work also with Gmail, although it'll still be everybody will be starting to work with at sterlinggreencia.org email addresses where the staff will be able to send messages out and we'll have records of what we send out. So if you send a message to us, you're going to know that we have it. We cannot lose it because it's archived. And if you have an issue, you'll be able to hold us accountable in the office. Do you have a question?
No, I think we need that.
I do too. So I'm in the vote for.
I'm for.
Okay, you say $10 per month per
user. Yes, ma'am.
So if you have 5 people in the office,
$50.
it's $50
It is.
Per month.
Per month.
Okay. You're spending a lot of money tonight.
It's the only way we can get started on getting the reform going. So, Lynn, are you in for or against?
Has anybody looked at the budget to see if the budget is going to?
We don't have one.
Well, but I mean, do we have the money to
We do.
do
We're
all of this stuff?
we're roughly $250,000 over in our reserves right now.
But we still have salaries, and we have the lights, and we have all this other stuff. So it's all that can factored in, plus with all of this.
The lights are actually about to stop being our responsibility. I'm pretty sure that we're going to be
Who's gonna take that on?
municipal utility district.
Mud?
Yeah. This is
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sonoma
I'm
Sonoma
sorry.
Ranch. Sonoma Ranch actually, they don't pay for their lights. Same thing.
Why do we pay for ours here?
It's a matter of some paperwork wasn't filled out. But the president of Sonoma Ranch has already given me the insight on what we need to do. So that's where we stand.
What's the savings on that?
That'll be a big savings.
Roughly about $30,000 a year, is that right?
Oh, no, more than that.
More than that?
It's probably 30,000 a month
Yeah.
or more for
Yeah.
all these street lights of the whole subdivision.
Yeah, she put their lights.
So,
$22,000 a month, that's what they were costing.
so yeah, there's,
That would cover a lot of these.
yeah.
Right, that'll cover all the other costs that we have to.
Buy another
I would have
iPad.
security.
Yeah. So everything that we're doing is either, it comes down to one of a couple of decisions on a decision tree. Is it necessary for us to achieve our requirements for transparency and meet all of our legal obligations? And then, can we offset it somewhere else with cost? And I'm pretty sure the answer is going to be yes and yes. Almost everything that we're going to do.
Instead of at least $200,000,
So this is where we stand. So I'm in the vote for on it, and where you stand. Are you voting for?
For.
Okay. Linda, what's your vote?
This is gonna go on the new computers that you're
This will,
gonna
yeah, this will be,
purchase.
we'll actually be able to implement this almost right away. This is regardless of the new computers,
The old computers is gonna,
because it's all web-based.
if you say it's gonna work.
Okay, I'd say it. I actually use it on a regular basis.
I use it for a nonprofit. I run all their email
Okay,
systems.
yeah, no, I mean, I was asking about the old system that we have, whether it's going to support this.
You can put it on your phone also. There's actually security policies. So like, for example, if an employee loses a phone, you could actually remotely remove that email or that access from that phone.
We can
You
remotely
the
wipe.
phone completely.
Yeah, we can remotely wipe a device clean. So if we had lost one of our devices, we're actually able to wipe the device clean totally remotely.
It seems like we're just so outdated on everything. It's just, yeah, it needs to be,
Now, and that's the staff. They just said we are.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's just so, we need to get with the times and move forward instead of keep going back. And it is gonna cost money, but it seems like at the end, we're gonna be saving in so many other areas. So that's good that we finally have a group that's willing to look and save us money too and get with the times. Yeah, exactly.
So this also helps us in a matter of legal aspects as well, because we have a permanent retention on documents and permanent retention on email as well. Did you have something? Yes, ma'am. No, we're trying to make this any kind of revenue versus debt neutral. So we're looking at cost savings in a lot of areas. One of them being like lights on the streets and things like that. No. We'll still have those. Yeah, we just wanted to pay for them. There's a Sonoma Ranch. Their HOA has the deal worked out with the mud district where they're actually paying for this, and this is what we're working on. Is we're going to pursue the same pathway which they have. So I'm friends with the president of that homeowners association, and he's giving me tips on where we can be saving money. Yes, sir.
Let me say something about that, Tom. The mud districts, I don't know what mud Sonoma Ranch has this, but we're 53, right? The mud districts regulate now all new fire stations, because they're hiring firefighters that are not volunteers anymore. That new station they just built over here on Dale,
Yes, sir.
we paying for that. So I wouldn't come out right now and say that the mud district will be like Sonoma Ranches, because different mud districts are doing different things as far as the money and taxes. That new fire station, we gotta pay for it. Okay?
We do.
So they may not show any leniency with us like Sonoma Ranches mud district. I just want you to be aware of that.
We're in the same mud as them.
It's same, they have 53. Y'all pay 53. Mud 53.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I'm just letting y'all know.
No, by the way, this is the kind of productive input we need. We need to know these. If you know this kind of stuff, please bring that to the table to us.
Sonoma Ranch could be grandfathered in too, and with us coming to them now, we may not have that luxury. I mean, we don't know what we're up against till we approach them.
Whatever law that they're granted, whatever rule or law that they're granted under, we have the same right to that. So, all right, at this time, this actually completes the meeting for tonight, for the meeting. At this time, we're going to adjourn to an executive session meeting.
Real quick, I just want to say, I missed the discussion on the cameras, but from what I read, I liked everything that you had in there, because not everybody knows, but I am that homeowner that was carjacked at gunpoint in my driveway the 23rd across the street from the tennis courts. According to my doctor, right now I'm suffering from PTSD, and yes, I'm still having a hard time. And when I go to bed at night, I still see the gun in my face and jerking me out of my car to the point that it affected me where I couldn't even do my job for almost a week. Guys, it's not security's fault. The kids that did this to me, we talked about being vigilant, we talked about being aware. I came from Walmart from getting my husband's prescription, and it wasn't even 9 o'clock when it happened. When I turned into my cul-de-sac, I saw 5 clean-cut boys. 2, I think it was 3 sitting on the curb, 2 standing up talking. You know, because we have a hike and bike trail, we have people that park out here and walk around and everything. Didn't think nothing of it. They didn't seem menacing. They didn't seem like they were going to do anything to me. But what happened when I looked at, now that I played it back in my mind, when I pulled into my driveway, as I was opening my door, they were, because my back window is sharp tinted, they ran up to my car and yanked me out. So what I'm wanting to say to you guys, and that's not the reason why I came here. Y'all recognize me. Y'all know I've been on the board a long time. Irregardless of me being on the board a long time, I'm still a homeowner. I still have a vested interest in this community. I love it here. After what happened, let me tell you how upset my husband was. He's willing to move in with my mother. My husband is saying, let's pack our bags and go to your mother's. I'm like, whoa. Because my mom and my husband don't necessarily see eye to eye. So what I'm saying is, I'm still nervous, and it's changed me a lot. So just when you think things aren't what they seem to be, they are. So I want everybody to be aware, and I do like the idea of the cameras and everything. And like what he said, you know, it depends on, you know, like the way it's not going to be accessible. I do like that, and we do need that. You know, yeah, we have been behind on the times, but we have to move forward. Things aren't going to come easy, and they're not going to come cheap, and they're not going to come free. And I will tell you, for what we did for 270 a year, compared to what a lot of the HOAs around the state, we've done pretty darn good. Yeah. You know, yes. You have to stop and think. You're out there in Rio Villa still, aren't you? Yeah. I mean, my son was one of the handful of homes that didn't get flooded during Harvey.
We're still working on our house.
Exactly. So what I'm saying, we're very, very fortunate. Very fortunate. But I'm here to support the board, because as a former board member, but a current homeowner, doesn't matter who sits up there, but I understand what they're dealing with because I've been on that side of the table when a lot of them have not. So I may seem opinionated, but I get what they're dealing with. I've had to deal with it. I understand it. So whether I agree with them or don't agree with them, I still have to support them because they are our board of directors.
Debbie, thank you.
Yep.
And I'm sorry to hear what happened to you. And I really hope that this system actually offers you some peace of mind.
Thank you.
Do you mind if we close with the collection of the prayers?
Really, we're running late, and we have an executive session we have to get to, right?
Oh, that's right. Sorry.
So I apologize for not. Let us get through a bunch of business, and we can do it. But right now, I'm paying her by the hour. And I love her, and I love